Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Collier County Public Library Virtual Book Club. My name is Kenneth.
I am Anna.
And we're here to talk to you about The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. Claire teaches English at Talgarth High. She's writing a book about R.M. Holland, who's a famously reclusive Victorian horror author who used to live in that school. She enjoys his work, especially his short story, The Stranger, which she teaches to her students. And then her co-worker Ella is murdered in a manner similar to the first victim in the story. And if that's not bad enough, she notices strange writing in her diary, starting with, "Hello, Claire. You don't know me."
Ooh, that was pretty good.
So it's a modern Gothic murder mystery told through three perspectives. Claire Cassidy is her name. Then Detective Sergeant Harpender Cower, who's in charge of investigating the murder, which takes place at her old school. And then Claire's 15-year-old daughter, Georgia Newton, who keeps a virtual diary and keeps a practical eye on the spiritual world. And the writing is such that nobody's above suspicion, least of all the main characters.
Absolutely.
So what did you think?
You know, I have a soft spot for mysteries. I also have a soft spot for British stuff, and this was set in England, and I really dug it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to read.
It was compelling. It was very easy to read.
Yes.
Drew me in with the essential mystery premise of who did it, what happened.
And it takes place in a spooky Victorian house with, you know, an old study that's been preserved for the author that used to write there. And there's that whole mystery of what happened to his wife. Did she fall down the stairs? Was she pushed?
Did he have a daughter?
Did he have a daughter?
And why can't, like, he acts like he had a daughter maybe, but where is she? There's no evidence.
Yeah, what was her name? Mariana, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the interplay of the main characters is pretty fun, and basically we get three different takes of everything that happened.
Right.
As each of them describe the events from their perspective.
And I also liked how it didn't, like one portion was told and then another person told another portion. They all kind of overlapped with each other. So you could go back and see things from a different person's point of view, which was interesting.
Right. Yeah, you got to see their inner workings, how they changed as the story progressed, change in their attitudes towards each other, how they hypocritically didn't like something that they themselves were doing.
Right, yes. Especially the interplay between mother and daughter was fascinating because the mother was judging the daughter for certain things and the daughter was judging the mother for other things, and you could see how they were both completely off in their judgments. It was very humorous.
Yeah, so it also had a lot of threads that didn't seem to go anywhere. I guess a lot of mysteries end up doing that.
Yeah, red herrings and all that.
The story wasn't perfect, but could have been more fun to, I think, maybe have the ghost story involved a little more. And then, hi Tori, how are you today? Good. Would have been fun to involve the ghost story a little more, maybe have it happen in the modern.
Too. Hi, Rayanne.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Go
on.
Maybe have it happen in the present as well, as opposed to just the little snippets of the history and what happened in when Harpender went to the school.
Right, yes.
But it was a good book, though. Solid 3 out of 5.
Yeah. The only problem was I unfortunately figured out who did it.
You did?
Before the end of the book.
Oh, good.
Because, well, I won't tell why. I'll talk about it next week when we describe all spoilers and we talk about the book in earnest.
Yeah. No spoilers today. Well, maybe little spoilers, but no big spoilers.
No big spoilers. We're not going to tell you who did it.
I did not solve the mystery.
Okay.
It's an obligatory first question for when you're reading a mystery, but I suspected basically everybody because she did a good job of making everybody suspicious.
It could have been anybody, yes.
I had most of my suspicion on a character who was narratively very similar to the eventual murderer.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes.
But yeah, we'll go into detail on that next week. So that's something to look forward to.
Yes, come talk with us on Zoom next week.
So let's go into our questions.
Okay.
Question 1. The Loathly Lady is a common character in Gothic ghost stories who is typically a beautiful woman who becomes a hideous hag or vice versa. To whom was Claire a detectable or loathly lady? Do you remember famous ones from other novels?
Oh, I think the most obvious one is Jane Eyre with, the crazy first wife stuck in the attic. I also think
Spoilers.
Sorry. No, there was no... Actually, in this story, there really wasn't, I didn't think, a crazy lady locked in the attic.
No spoilers for Jane Eyre.
No spoilers for Jane Eyre, I'm sorry, yes. And then...
I've been meaning to pick that one up.
Another one that I think of is the Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins-Gilman. It's a short story that is told from the point of view of the loathly lady who is locked in the attic.
Oh, cool.
Yes. If you haven't read it, it's by Charlotte Perkins-Gilman, and I highly recommend it. It's very spooky.
So in my opinion, so Claire was kind of a loathly lady to Harpender at first.
Yes, that's true.
She made an unfavorable first impression. That cooled down after a bit.
How can you make a favorable impression with Harpender, though?
Okay, nobody made a favorable impression
she was kind
to
of
her in the first place.
contrary,
Judgmental.
kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Curmudgeonly character.
For sure.
Yeah.
Claire was also a loathly lady to Rick's wife.
Oh, good point.
Because of
Yes.
there's some jealousy and some spite in the background there.
Right, yes, absolutely. Good point.
I thought there would be like some more really obvious examples since the author went to lengths to tell us about loathly ladies.
Yes.
So kind of the Chekhov's gun concept.
Exactly. Which is if a gun is on the bureau in the beginning of the first act, it has to go off by the end of the third.
Hi, Mary. How are you doing today? So yeah, she describes the loathly lady and the archetype and the purpose that it serves, but
then
I didn't really see
doesn't
too
really
many
put one in there, yeah.
throughout the book.
I thought that was a strange question.
I'm most familiar with the character through European fairy tales.
Okay.
Like Beauty and the Beast would be a good example. The witch
right,
that curses
the witch,
the beast
yes, of course.
in the very beginning. They're frequently focused on punishment or rewards for slights or good deeds, depending.
Or in Cinderella, the wicked queen who turns into the old hag to curse Cinderella. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that was Snow White. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Sleeping
my fairy
Beauty has
tales
that
mixed up.
going on too. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Question 2.
Question 2. Yes.
How was Claire obsessed with keeping a diary, and to what did it lead?
Well, Claire had kept a diary every day for many, many years. She had them locked in her bedroom, which is so interesting that somebody would know about them. And, well, she did say she brought them to school to write in when nobody was around, but she wrote in them basically to kind of, I think why a lot of people who keep diaries do it, to kind of work things out in their head instead of waiting for their dreams to do it, which dreams never really help you work things out. They just make you more confused.
Right.
So that's my opinion. She was trying to work stuff out.
She was, so she particularly kept a diary when she was dissatisfied with her life. So,
Marilyn Mathis, hi.
How you doing? So the obsession came, so that she was obsessed because like she was doing it and she learned that somebody was reading her diary and she didn't really stop or change her behavior.
No, she didn't.
So that's kind of where the obsession part comes in.
True.
And also obsession because it's a Gothic story. You gotta have obsession in
You
that.
gotta have obsession in a Gothic story. It's just de rigueur.
And then even when they were taken by the police later, the diaries were taken by the police, she just started, grabbed a legal pad or something like that and kept doing it. Diaries are a major driving factor in the novel because Georgia keeps a diary too, online.
Called mysecretdiary.com.
It's the name of the website.
Yeah, which is not so secret. I mean, she could choose whether she would, make the posts public or not, but still, mysecretdiary.com. I don't know.
Did you look? Do you know if that's an actual place?
There used to be one
thought
called
it might
Live
be.
Journal.
I know LiveJournal.
That was very similar.
I used LiveJournal.
I used to use LiveJournal
Don't
myself.
look me up.
Don't look me up either.
But
it was from many years ago, and I'd be embarrassed if it's still there.
It is.
Oh God.
So a diary is not really a precise rendering of the day either.
No.
When the snapshot of what's going on in the author's mind at that time, it can be edited. It's inaccurate, even untruthful. Diary Claire was a very different person than third-person narrative Claire.
Yes.
I thought.
Yes.
She was spiteful, uncharitable,
Mm-hmm.
because she was pouring out her own frustrations, and it's probably a fair representation of how anybody will brood over an injustice committed to them.
And it's certainly not the face that you can show in public.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're still presentable and charming for the world.
Hi, Terry. Nice of you to join in.
Yeah, and I liked how the author represented diaries as that kind of unreliable narrator.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Unreliable narrators.
Claire was the epitome of unreliable narrator, by the way.
She was.
But she was all right. Question 3. Quote from the book, "The killer got up close. That implies passion was involved." And that's something that you hear a lot on police procedurals, too.
Mm-hmm.
So how did passion play a role, and how did that fact help the detectives find the killer and rule out it being a stranger?
Okay, so the first thing that we have to consider is that we have the set in England where they don't have handguns. I mean, the regular public just doesn't carry them at all. So when you commit a crime, you either have to use a knife or a garroting wire or something to strangle, or otherwise get up close and personal. And when you do that, when you face... I've never murdered anybody myself, but, if you do, you have to get really up close to that person and look them in the eye while you're committing the deed. And that is something that I think would be something that only a psychopath could do.
Yeah, you'd have to mean it.
You'd have to mean
passion.
It. Absolutely.
So the killer or killers were clearly very enthusiastic about their agenda, whether that was obsessed with the people. Hello, Emily.
Hello, Emily.
Obsessed with people, or an art form like mimicking horror literature. And so the cops used that to kind of focus on what the killer focused on. They were able to kind of see from their perspective a little bit. Mm-hmm. Also, from a meta perspective, we knew that it wasn't going to be a stranger, because that's just unsatisfying.
Absolutely. That would be cheating the reader if you didn't know who the murderer was by the end of the book.
Yeah, narratively speaking.
Yes.
So question 4. Did Harpender have it in for Claire, and what makes you think so?
I don't think so at all. I think Harpender is just a uniquely curmudgeonly person. I think that it does her well in her choice of career as an inspector to be suspicious of everyone, because you have to be suspicious of everyone. You can't go around making friends with people when you're on a murder investigation. So I didn't think she had it in for her at all. In fact, I think over the course of the book, she softened up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. I thought a little bit at first, because she was skeptical about Claire. She had a lot of opinions about the kind of woman Claire represented to her.
Right, yeah.
Like beautiful, cold.
Hi, Amy.
So after they worked together a bit, that cooled down. She never really removed Claire from her list of suspects.
No, she did not. Even though Claire had alibis for some of the murders.
But they could socialize, have a drink, giggle
Yes.
over some silly things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Truth.
a little bit at the beginning, but
Yes. But like I said, she had to be.
yeah,
She had to be in her line of work. You have to suspect everyone.
yeah. Especially as a woman in law enforcement, you have to be even more serious.
Yes. Yes, that's
To
true.
be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So question 5:
Yes.
How did Harpender end up living at home, and what are the pros and cons of it, especially regarding the case and an old boyfriend?
Yes. Well, let's discuss her living at home first. She is, well, I'm not sure exactly what generation she belongs to. She might be a millennial or a Generation Z. I don't know.
She's Harpender's 35.
So she must be a millennial.
In 2017.
In 2017. So she's still a millennial.
So millennial or
and
yeah.
you know, it just happens that way because of the economy and the way things are with housing prices, that you just can't afford to live on your own if you're unattached. I mean, it's just the way of the world these days. And the thing I think is fun is that she actually doesn't mind it. She calls them the old dears in the book, and I thought that was really kind of endearing. I thought that was sweet. But it's a reality that, you know, people from that generation, even in my generation, I mean, I barely made it on my own before I got married. You know, it was tough with housing prices and you know salaries and all that kind of thing. So
yeah, I kind of got the impression first that she maybe could have afforded to live on her own if she had if she really wanted to. But so pros of the arrangement: it's easy to keep in touch with your family.
Mom cooks all the time.
Yeah, mom cooks all the time. That's going to be the big one. That's the main one that she talks about. She gets home cooked meals. Cons: lack of privacy. You have to run before your mom mothers you out of a job by like, oh, well, let me cook you something first before you run off to the big case.
Yes.
Her life sounded exhausting.
It did.
But she didn't seem to resent that part of it.
No.
It's possible there's also a cultural aspect.
Right, because Harpender is Indian. Yes.
Indian descent.
Yes. Yes, there might be a cultural aspect of it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the boyfriend angle was helpful because she got to talk about Gary Carter with her mother.
Yes.
Gary Carter was her old boyfriend. She got to kind of get that extra perspective.
And she also got to go out for drinks with him and get information out of him, which was helpful.
But it's also unhelpful because she doesn't feel that she can be out as a lesbian with her family.
Correct.
So that's possibly contributing to her own sense of angst and
curmudgeonliness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably a word.
Curmudgeonliness. I just made it up.
So she might feel differently about that. She might be able to come out to her family if she didn't live with them, for instance.
Correct.
So, a little bit about Ellie Griffith. This is from her website. Real name is Domenica De Rosa.
Really?
She wrote 4 books under that name. Born in London in 1963. She loves Brighton, where she lives. Wrote early Starsky and Hutch fan fiction.
I love that.
Read English at King's College in London.
Wow.
Worked in a library, a magazine, publicity assistant, editorial director.
She's been all over the place then.
And then wrote The Italian Quarter in 1998. Wrote a lot of books about Italy until she met Dr. Ruth Galloway, who, maybe that's the name of another book she had. Sorry. But she didn't think it was very different from her books about Italy, but when she read it, her agent told her, this is crime, you need a crime name. So,
okay.
Ellie Griffiths.
Ellie Griffiths, okay.
And there's several different books by her, lots in the collection.
Yeah,
and
there are.
She's got a detective series as well. This isn't part of that.
This is the first one in the Harpender Cower series, though.
Okay,
I did read that. I did read that. That is the first one in the series. So look for more featuring this particular detective in the future.
It probably wasn't the detective. Or was it?
I don't know. I can't remember. I have amnesia.
All right. So join us next week. Contact
Tuesday.
me, Kenneth.Hardcastle at colliercountyfl.gov.
It's going to be next Tuesday
I'll put it
at 2
in the
o'clock.
chat.
Yep.
Next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And hope to see you there.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a lot.